Well, Chris, just sum up your thoughts. Bad day at the office today.
Yeah, incredibly bad day. Myself and the players have let the supporters down. Big time. It's a really poor first half an hour. And I think in terms of the goals, and I think you realise what the Premier League's about when they find their finishes, but really the lead up to the goals are really poor goals, and you give anybody an helping hand at any level. The majority of the time they'll take it. They definitely take it in the Premier League. Watkins takes those chances. Tillemans finds that finish. Bailey finds that finish, and you're 4-0 down after 30 minutes, and there's no hiding place for me as a manager and players. And I know what people will be saying. Nobody tried, nobody run about, nobody did this, nobody did that, and you just have to accept that. But there's a lot of people in there that are hurting, and we have to use that hurt, and we have to use this experience going forward. Analyse what we did wrong. We didn't do hardly anything right. Analyse sort of structural point of view. Analyse the team that I picked, because I have to take that responsibility as well in terms of the 11 that we started with, and we have to take our medicine, because certainly, people leaving early, totally get it. Understand crowd reaction, totally get it. And we've done okay on certain bits since we've come back in, but we've taken an absolute massive step back tonight, and we can't get away from it.
Did you get the sense at all that the application wasn't there tonight?
I think it's quite easy, Andy, for, how can I say, and not being disrespectful, and I've played at this level, played at all levels, and you take these defeats. You don't turn it in. It does look like you turn it in. You look like you're the slowest player in the world. You look like, every time you get it, you give the ball away. Your touch is not very good. They look as if their touch is brilliant. They're the quickest players in the world. It's easy. What we're doing, this, that, and the other. Heads become scrambled. They go chasing all over the place. They can't make contact with players. There's certain things in there that we feel that we need to do so much better with. This first and second balls that they won. They had a massive spring in their step, especially when they go 4-0 up. It's the easiest game in the world, and they're playing free football, and there's 3,500-4,000 of their supporters, and they're right behind them, and it's a really difficult place for our players. And that isn't me saying in terms of we created that. The supporters didn't create that, and I always talk about making the shirt light. To be fair, I thought the supporters were fine tonight. In terms of what we gave them, we didn't give them anything to shout about. Like I said, first and second balls we didn't win enough of. We lost our structure, we lost our shape. We played as individuals. That can happen when it goes 4 and 5, and everything that gets said about you, whether it's a manager and me and the coaching staff and the players, you've basically got to accept. I keep saying it. There's plenty of times, especially here and through a manager's career and a player's career, that a lot of good things get said about you. And you're always willing to take that. You always accept that, and you accept the pat on the back. And through various periods of your career, and when it don't go well, you have to stick yourself out there, and you have to take all that comes your way, and we have to take all that, everything that everybody says about us that comes our way, because it's deserved.
Just as a point, fans might wonder, I realise if you'd have won the game today, it would have been the greatest decision in the world, but just changing to a back five today, what was the thinking behind that?
Well, just the shape. We played a back five against Villa, the shape of that, tactically, I like to think that you get to this level. I think that, the individual errors that we made, we would have made in a 4, whether we made in a 5, it makes no odds. you look at it. Like I said, we played Villa in this shape. If you play a poor and they play a box, it's quite difficult to go and get pressure on it as well. So, of course, everything could be assessed, and there'll be certain views on it from a tactical point of view, and you have to understand that and accept that. And we'll have a look at the tape. Obviously, we'll study it, but when you talk about sort of one ball, doing your centre half when there should be two around it. We're not kamikaze. We're not leaving 1 versus 1 for a reason. There should be 2 versus 1. There's always a +1 defensively, and there wasn't because people made some poor decisions.
What's the message, if you like? Because big game next weekend, Luton, in terms of motivating the players that presumably are pretty chins on the floor in there.
Well, nobody's going to help them. We'll go again. It's going to be a long week. It's going to be a lot to be talked about, lot to overcome emotionally, physically, because it's been a tough evening for us. I think you've seen the Premier League. This can happen. But it doesn't mean it's acceptable, and it can't really happen again. And we have to make sure it doesn't. I've got to make sure that we pick the right personnel, we pick the right team, we pick the right formations as it is. Because everything, when you get done like we've done tonight, everything gets opened up. And I get this. Why did he play this? Why did he play that? We're not picking a team before. We're picking formations to make it incredibly difficult for ourselves. We're trying to give, as coaches and managers, we're trying to give the players the best opportunity in possession and out of possession of going and winning a game of football. And like I said, if you get it wrong, you have to take everything that comes your way. So it's going to be a long week. I've always said, I think you've worked with us long enough. Motivate yourself to be a professional footballer. You're playing in the Premier League. You've worked extremely hard to get there. There's always something to play for. There's always somebody watching, and there's always an opportunity of trying to recover in a little way what's happened this afternoon. And it's going to hurt and it's going to sting, and it does. And it's not a comfortable place for anybody, because whether you're a supporter or a player or a manager, it's not been a good afternoon for all of us. So, I think one of the things I will be looking at is obviously the body language of the players, who's on with it, who's up with the fight, who wants to get the white flag out. So that'll be important to me. Who wants to talk about, it was his fault, it was that fault, it was the manager's fault, it was tactically we didn't get it right this time, but I was okay. Let's see who's like that as a player. I'd like to think none of them. I'd like to think we all after. Like I said, we have to take our medicine and stand up and accept all the criticism that goes with, being 4-0 down after 30 minutes. There's no hiding place. There's no hiding place, kids.
Just as a check, Ollie McBurney didn't play today. Neither did Ben Slimani. Why is that? Yeah,
Ben came back. Obviously played on Tuesday night and had a tight hamstring on Friday, and Ollie had a tight calf. I felt that we'd sort of got over these sort of little bits and pieces, soft tissue injuries. But both of them, we're hopeful Ollie Mack, because we need the likes of Ollie back in the team. What I will say, it was. And, I have to look at that as well. I did pick a particularly young side, an athletic side, to deal with their pace, but dealing with a place with a +1, not a 1 versus 1. And, we had a young side out there, and one that it's going to be a real experience for them, because nobody wants to be on the end of what's happened today. So getting Ollie Mack back will be a big call for us, and hopefully he will be.